is there so much suffering? That's a question people have been asking for centuries. And most of the answers they've been given aren't good enough. For example, some answers are, God works in mysterious ways, or everything happens for a reason, or God has a plan. You see, those answers don't hold up, because what they do is they take the hard question and hand it off to God, so no one actually has to deal with it. It's not an explanation, it's a way out of giving one. Well, as a Muslim, in this discussion, I will attempt to give you an answer from the Quran. I'm going to take you into the actual Arabic language of the Quran, down to the roots of the words, and show you how God explains the reason for suffering. Now, this is not going to be another vague answer. It'll be what the text itself describes about suffering and its purpose. Here's the skeptic's argument that stops a lot of people cold. You see, their position is, if God is all-powerful and all good, then explain this: a tsunami that wipes out 250,000 people, earthquakes, hurricanes, cancer in children. Either God can't stop it, or he won't stop it, but you can't have both. And that's their argument, and on the face of it, it appears to be a strong one. And here's the part that makes some skeptics really lose patience, because when things go right, people will say God is great. However, when 250,000 people die, they'll say God works in mysterious ways. So the skeptic asks, which is it? And that's a fair question, and people deserve a better answer than God works in mysterious ways. You see, when bad things happen in the world that can't be explained, and people say God works in mysterious ways, I was never able to accept that as an answer, because it just didn't sit well with me. Something was off. They were using God to explain away whatever they couldn't. But I've asked myself this question many times: why is there so much suffering in the world? And as a Muslim, of course, I went to the Quran looking for answers. Not because the Quran is a manual for every little thing in life, because it isn't, but because for the questions that matter most, why we're here, and how to hold on when life gets hard, the Quran speaks. And in chapter 25, verse 33, it says, "And they cannot bring thee a question, but we have brought thee the truth and the best explanation." And you know what? I found something that made sense to me, and that's what I want to share with you today. And let me say this up front. You do not have to trust that the Quran is the Word of God to find value in what I'm about to share. I'm not asking you to believe anything yet. What I'm asking you is to examine the evidence that supports the argument as to why there is suffering in the world. To look at the actual language from the Quran and decide for yourself if this is a feasible answer. And that's it. Now, let's start with one of the most important words in the Quran, Rabb. You see, the Quran uses this word over and over to describe God's relationship to us, Rabb of all the worlds. Now, most translations say Lord, but the Arabic root, Ra, Ba, Ba, doesn't mean Lord the way we think of it. It means to nurture, to cultivate, to bring something to maturity, step by step. It's the word you'd use for raising a child or tending a garden. So when the Quran calls God Rabb of all the worlds, it's telling you something specific about his role. You see, God is not your bodyguard. He's not there to make sure nothing bad ever happens to you. He's the one who raises you up. Now, think about what that means. A parent who never lets their child struggle is not nurturing. They're crippling that child, because growth requires resistance. A muscle that never lifts anything never gets stronger. If God's role is to nurture us toward maturity, then a life with zero struggle would actually work against his purpose, which is to bring you to maturity. And how does God bring us to maturity? And the Quran doesn't hide from this question. It provides an answer. In the Quran, chapter 2, verse 155, God says, "We shall certainly try you with something of fear and hunger and loss of property and lives and fruits, and give good news to the patient." Not, you might have a tough day. He will test you, and that's a promise. God is telling you up front, this life is going to be hard, and he's not apologizing for it. But notice, he says, give good news to the patient. What good news? Well, the very next two verses tells you. In chapter 2, verse 156 and 157, God says, "Who, when a misfortune befalls them, say, 'Surely we are God's, and to him we shall return.' Those are they on whom are support and mercy from their Rabb, and those are the followers of the right course." Now, there's so much to unpack in these verses, but I will say this. The Arabic word in this verse is salawat, which is the root word sud, lam, wow. And it doesn't mean blessings or prayers. It means support. And those who endure with patience receive support from their Rabb, along with his mercy and guidance. Support from the same nurturer we just talked about. He's not leaving you in the struggle alone. Now, we've read that God says he will test us. And the Arabic word for this kind of test is ibtila. And the root word is ba, lam, wow. And it doesn't mean test like a pop quiz. It means to test in order to reveal what's hidden inside. Now think about that. Your trials and suffering in this life aren't punishments or meaningless destruction. They're a refining process, like a diamond. It can only form under extreme pressure. No pressure, no diamond. Now I know what some of you are thinking right now. A refining process? Really? Seriously? Tell that to 250,000 tsunami victims and their families. Tell that to the parents of a baby with brain cancer. And I hear you. I'm not going to dodge it, and so let's deal with it head on. But before I answer that objection, I want to say something to the individual who is trying to understand why there is so much suffering in the world. The individual who is actually holding a sick child, or the parents whose world is breaking. Listen to me. The skeptic points at your suffering child and says, "See, there's no God." But ask him, what is he actually offering you? No comfort, no meaning, no reason for any of it, nothing. In his answer, your child is simply suffering for no reason and then is gone forever into nothing. He's not on your side. He's using your pain to win an argument, and then he walks away and leaves you with less than nothing. Now here is what God offers you that the skeptic can never offer you. You see, you may be praying that God's mercy will take the cancer away, and sometimes that happens. But mercy was never a promise that nothing bad would happen. Mercy is the promise that no one, not you, not your child, is ever outside God's care. Now, it's often in the hardest moments that people turn toward God, not away from him. The pain is real, and God knows it hurts. That's exactly why the holding on matters. The Quran calls this ibtila, a testing that reveals what's inside of us. Not because God is cruel, but because trials show us and Him what we are truly made of. As we read in chapter 2, verse 155, it says, "We will surely test you." And in chapter 29, verse 2, it says, "Do people think they will be left alone saying we believe and not be tried?" So your pain is not a sign that God has forgotten you. This darkness is a passing through, like a baby in the womb. This life is only a holding place, and there is something waiting on the other side for all who endure and do not give up on God. And there's something else. What happens when a baby gets cancer? When a tsunami wipes out an entire coastline? This is something we don't talk about enough. You see, suffering isn't only a test for the person going through it. It's also a mirror aimed at us, at every single one of us watching. What do we do when we see that baby? Do we build hospitals? Do we fund the research? Do we mobilize for the tsunami victims? Send resources? Raise funds? Show up however we can? Or do we just watch the news, move on, and point at the sky like the skeptic and say, "See, there's no God"? The suffering reveals what's inside the people who witness it, not just the people who endure it. Okay, let's look at a word the Quran uses that takes this conversation even deeper. Khayr. Now, it's kha-ya-ra. Khayr doesn't mean good, like I had a good day. It means that which is ultimately chosen as best. Not what feels best right now, but what turns out to be the best when the picture comes to full maturity. And here's the key. We don't have the full picture yet. And in chapter 2, verse 216, the word khayr is used, and it says, perhaps you hate a thing and it's good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it's bad for you. And God knows while you know not. You see, our view is limited, and that's not a dodge. That's the truth of it. The Quran isn't pretending suffering doesn't hurt. It's saying you don't have enough information yet to make the final call. Now, here's where it gets extraordinary. In chapter 62, verse 2, it says, "Who created death and life that he may try you? Which of you is best in deeds?" Now stop and think about what that's saying. God didn't just create life as a test. He created death as a test also. Both of them. The very architecture of existence, being alive and dying, was designed as a revelatory process. So when the skeptic asks, why does a good God allow death? The Quran answers directly. Death isn't a failure of the system. It's part of the design. It was created with the same purpose as life itself, to reveal what's inside of you. And here is a nuance that changes the entire conversation. In chapter 21, verse 35, it says, "Every soul must taste of death, and we test you with evil and good by way of trials." Now, did you catch that? You see, God tests with good as well as evil. Prosperity is also a test. Abundance is a test. The skeptic only points to suffering as the problem, but the Quran says your comfort, your wealth, your health, those are equally a trial. What do you do with your abundance? Do you hoard it? Do you forget where it came from? Do you help others less fortunate than you? The question isn't just, why does God allow pain? It's what do you do with everything you're given, the good and the hardship. And for those of you who are starting to think, maybe there is something here, listen to this. In chapter 29, verse 2 and 3, it says, "Do people think that they will be left alone saying we believe and will not be tried. And indeed, we tried those before them. You see, for the person who puts their trust in God and believes in Him, that doesn't get you out of the test. It puts you in it. God is saying if you believe in Him, expect to be tested, not as a punishment, as proof. Your trust that He is merciful isn't real until it's been through the fire. That's ibtila, the same root we talked about earlier, the testing that reveals what's hidden inside of you. Now here's where it all ties together. The Arabic word for this life, that's this life we're living in now, is called dunya. Now the root word is dal na wa. It means the lower life, the nearer life. The very name God gives this existence is telling you this is not the final chapter. If you're judging God's justice based on what happens in the dunya, that is, in this world, it's as if you're reading one chapter of a book and then writing a review. The story is not over. And the Quran tells you exactly what the dunya consists of. In chapter 57, verse 20, it says, "And know that this world's life is only sport and play and adornment and boasting among yourselves and rivalry in increase of wealth and children." Now, examine that list. Sport, play, adornment, boasting, rivalry. None of those things is the purpose of your existence, which will be another conversation to be had soon. But for now, in this discussion, the dunya is only the stage. It's not the complete story. And when the skeptics judge God's goodness by what happens on this stage, they're evaluating this life through an incomplete lens. And here's the Quran's direct answer. In chapter 3, verse 185, it says, "Every soul will taste of death, and you will be paid your reward fully only on the resurrection day." You see, the final score is not posted in the dunya. The full accounting happens later. We are still inside the process. This verse tells you why. The outcome has not been revealed yet. You cannot judge the results while you are still in the middle of it. Now we come back to the words that hold everything together. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. The merciful, the compassionate. These are the two names of God's mercy that open nearly every chapter of the Quran, except for one, but that's another conversation to be had soon also. But for now, here's what's extraordinary about these two words. Their root, Ra-Ha-Ma, is the same root as the Arabic word for womb. Rahman and Rahim do not mean womb. They mean merciful and compassionate. But God chose words for His mercy that are linguistically rooted in the image of a womb. And think about what a womb is. A place where something is being formed, where it's dark, where it's tight, where there's pressure. But that pressure has a purpose. But here's what I haven't told you yet. The Quran doesn't just say God is merciful. In chapter 6, verse 12, God says He has ordained mercy upon Himself, and the Arabic word is kataba. Here's what makes this so powerful. Kataba doesn't mean God feels merciful today, like a mood that comes and goes. Kataba means He wrote it down. He made mercy a law, a binding one. And here's the part that got me. It's the same word the Quran uses when God gives us our obligations and uses the phrase, "This is prescribed for you." That's the language of law, something you're bound to. And God used this exact word about his own mercy. He didn't say he feels mercy. He made mercy his own law, something he binds himself to. Nobody made him do that. He chose it. So think about what that means for suffering. Picture a baby in the womb. It's dark in there, it's tight. There's pressure all around. If that baby could feel it, it might feel uncomfortable and think something is wrong. But nothing's wrong. That dark, tight place is exactly what's growing it. It's getting ready for a life it can't even imagine. And I've come to see this life the same way. This life in the dunya is like the womb. When you're in pain, it can feel like God's mercy is nowhere, like you've been left outside of it. But you haven't. You're inside it. The hard place is part of the mercy. And right now, I don't see the whole picture, and I won't, not in this life. But I hold on to God through it anyway. You see, I'm not saying this as someone who has it all figured out, because I don't. I have my own trials right now. But trusting that I'm still inside his mercy, even when it doesn't feel like it, that's what carries me through. And in case there's any doubt about any of this, in chapter 7, verse 156, God says, "My mercy encompasses all things." Not some things, not the easy things, not just the moments when life feels good, all things. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. How is a tsunami mercy, or how is a child with cancer mercy? Now remember what we have already established. The womb is mercy, and the womb is pressure, darkness, and constriction. And none of that feels good, but all of it has a purpose. You see, God's mercy encompasses all things, because every hardship is happening inside a process designed to bring you to something greater. And the final accounting has not happened yet. And here's something the Quran does that most people don't know or don't expect. It says, "Test me." In chapter 4, verse 82, it says, "Do they not reflect upon the Quran? If it had been from any other than God, they would have found within it much contradictions." The Quran doesn't ask you to accept anything blindly. It invites examination. It dares you to find any flaws in it. So, let's put this all together. The Quran tells us that God is our Rabb, not a bodyguard, but a nurturer whose role is to bring us to maturity. And just like any process of growth, that journey includes struggle. The Quran calls that struggle ibtila, a test, not punishment, but a refining, like a diamond that can only form under extreme pressure. The Quran tells us what feels bad now might actually be khayr, which is what turns out to be best when the full picture comes together. And this life, dunya, is the lower life, not the final chapter. You see, the full accounting is still ahead on Resurrection Day. Meanwhile, God's mercy, rooted in the womb, a place of pressure and darkness that exists to bring something new into the world, is not just a feeling. He ordained it as binding law upon himself. So suffering is not evidence against God. It is a part of how he raises us. We are still inside the womb of this life, and the one who placed us here has bound himself to mercy. I know this was a lot to digest in one sitting. So I'm not asking you to walk away from this conversation agreeing with me. I'm asking you to walk away thinking about this answer that made sense to me. Do what the Quran itself asks. Examine the evidence. Look at the Arabic. Test it for yourself. Look, reflect, and think. And remember, at its core, what does God actually ask of us? What is the test? To serve none but Him and be kind to your neighbor. And that's it. There's no religious rituals you need to perform every day or any special clothing you have to wear. Even if you take God out of the equation entirely, even if you walk away still skeptical, be kind to your neighbor is still the right way to live, because kindness is never wasted. As for me, contrary to the skeptics, I trust that God does exist. Not because life has been easy, not because I have all the answers, but because when I read the Quran and check the roots of the Arabic words, I found a message that is truthful about suffering, precise in its language, and consistent in its logic. I didn't find mysterious ways. I found a complete answer. Salamun alaikum. And I mean that for every single one of you, whether you believe, whether you don't, or whether you're somewhere in between. Peace be with you. If you'd like to read an extensive critique of this conversation, you can download a copy of my in-depth research paper with the full Arabic linguistic analysis supporting everything we discussed today. And the link is right there in the description below. Read the Quran for yourself. And if this conversation resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Help me get this conversation out to people who need to hear it. And thank you for listening and watching.